Nation.
What is going on?
Wow, look, I'm breaking my rule. I remember I used to say I didn't have caffeine after 3 o'clock. Oh, here it is.
It's just barely after 3, isn't it? 3:30 your time?
Yeah, it's 3:30. So I guess before 4. What's been?
Yeah, 3:30 is kind of like 3, right? And 3 is like almost 2, and 2 is to 1. So it's pretty much like the morning where you're at right now.
Well, think about it this way. I go to bed consistently now like 10:30. So, it's almost 8 hours from it's almost 8 hours from the caffeine window. And also too, I'm going to go work out after this podcast and then go in the sauna and sweat my my tail off. Should I just say that?
Gainz Nation, write your best excuses for why you do things in the comment section below.
Yeah, so also too, I'm trying to without getting out of I know we always do the beginning so wild and different every time, but I'm trying to reprogram my body to go to bed a little bit later. See, the thing is, like I've been mentioning, my father-in-law works till about 4:30. He meets us up at the gym at like 4:40.
Yeah.
So because we're doing later workouts, and like I've said before, I'd rather do morning to late afternoon workouts, 100%. If it was the best case scenario, once he retires again, because he already retired once, this is his second job. Maybe I'll start doing mid afternoons, mornings again with him. I just think that me going to bed earlier, maybe doing caffeine a little bit later and waking up later might be beneficial for me. So I'm still doing 8 hours of sleep. So if I go to bed at 10:30, I still wake up at 7, maybe 7:30 the latest. Most of the time it's 7, but it's 7:30. So it's I know obviously you don't get the hard sleep all the time and go into the bathroom once in the middle of the night. So that 30-minute buffer hopefully helps, maybe.
Yeah. That's over 9 hours, buddy. That's good. It's really good.
Well, it's not 9 consistent hours. That was my point of it too.
I don't think anybody sleeps that way. For the most part.
Wish.
I think sleep cycles are usually in 60 to 120 minute blocks, and I think they average 90 minutes or something like that. And you can stack multiple sleep cycles, but I probably wake on average probably every 3 to 5 hours. I'll go to bed at 8, for example, and I'll wake up at 10. But when did I actually go to sleep?
Yeah.
Maybe I actually fell asleep around 8:10 or something like that.
Yeah, so, and that's hard too, because I bet you're like me. I don't have a clock in the room, and I don't look at my phone until I wake up in the morning. So it's I don't know. I don't sit there and write it down in a journal. I don't write it on a notepad.
I'm so bad, to be honest with you. I wouldn't take this advice, or I wouldn't do what Roman does, Gainz Nation. But sometimes I'll read an article on my phone or something like that before bed, and it'll only be a few minutes that I won't have that blue light in front of me before I go to bed. But ideally, the habit that I try to get into, which I think I've done oh gosh, actually maybe only once this week, because I was bad. I was watching a movie in bed with my partner last night. But Monday night I read a book before bed, so I don't think I looked at my phone from, I don't know, let's say 6:37 until the next morning. And then even then I'll check the time. So I just kind of look over, check the time, and I'll do my morning routine. And sometimes I'll get plugged in. I might look at financial news or something like that early on. That's kind of what's been my kick recently. Or I'll just chat with my brother for a bit, and oftentimes we'll go for a walk. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't really have a standard, but I do think that it's probably a practical step to not get blue light from screens in our eyes at least an hour before bed. I think that aids in moving closer towards optimal sleep, and optimal sleep will be good for your physical health, good for your mental health, good for your spiritual health, you name it.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly. So I'm like I said, I've been trying to just reprogram and push the cycle back, I guess. It is hard. Like it's still been kind of hard, because like, I'm still working out 5 days a week. Still, I'm going a lot harder in the gym instead of like running, but like I'm going harder now in the gym instead of like, I don't know. I went hard before. It's just I don't know how to explain it. It's just like I'm able to do a lot more in the gym. So it's like I still have like I don't have high energy levels at the end of the day because of work and then working out and whatnot. But no, I've been trying to just push it back, like I said. And also too, that brings me to the next thing, which, if you guys aren't following on the Instagram page, I did go to my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class as of yesterday, my first ever class.
What?
Yeah, remember
Oh,
I told you, remember I told y'all that I wanted to do it.
yeah.
I just, what's up?
How was it?
Dude, it was very interesting. I'll say interesting, very curious about it, and it looks very hard. Um,
Yeah.
it's a lot of technique with reaction. So a lot of the times, like bodybuilding, powerlifting, you could take your time with your technique and your reactions to everything, but with jiu-jitsu, you really can't. So you have to kind of be on your toes when it comes to that, and it's a thought out process, and I feel like it's more like an art too. Obviously, most of the time you're just trying to submit the person, but I think it's an art. It's an art form, in a sense, if that makes sense. So also too, that goes to the next point of why I want to push like my sleep and my wake time a little bit back, because the fact that the classes are 6:15 to 7, and sometimes they'll bleed over with like live rolling. I didn't do live rolling yesterday, but I sat there and I did watch like for like 10, 15 minutes. And then I was talking to some of the guys that I know there. One of the guys that actually used to work with Roman and I'm not going to mention name, but I'll mention the Roman after the podcast, just for podcast purposes and work purposes. But it was really nice to see him, and yeah, it was very awesome. Very awesome experience. I think it seems like the gym world that like Roman and I try to create. They're very opening. I mean, we're talking people with white belts that were there, which, if no one knows us, that's like the beginner level. Then there's like blue belts there, which my two buddies are blue belts. Shout out to them. And so like that's blue belt, and then purple belt, and then brown belt. So there's a purple there, a brown belt, and then obviously I think it's green and then black. I might be mixing that up, but like obviously the coach and the owner of the gym was there teaching us, and he's a black belt, of course. But it was really nice. And like I said, with knowing people, one of my buddy's friends that's at the gym that I play video games with, he's actually a brown belt, so he's higher up than. So it must be blue than brown. I'm not gonna like don't record this. Don't take any acknowledge of that. But I'm still trying to learn. But I'm pretty sure brown's over blue, and then it goes purple, or purple then brown. I'm not too sure. But one of the guys is a brown, and he actually was helping the coach. And then when we were doing like the drills with my buddy that was there, he came over there and helped me personally. So it's like really awesome to see. And it seems like they're very like curious to see where I'm at, and to see where like what I could do better. So it was really awesome, man. Obviously there'll be a lot more content around this, and I'm really excited about this. One of the guys said like, man, you look very strong, because like I wore like a compression long sleeve. It's pretty much called a rash guard. So like I don't come in contact with the mat and like the sweat. And then I had like compression pants on with shorts, but they pretty much put on a gi for training, which is a gi is like pretty much like a heavy duty robe and pants, if that helps you guys understand what that means. And then I took the gi off, and then the one guy I met, he goes, damn, you look pretty strong. Are you like a bodybuilder or a powerlifter? I'm like, yeah, I've done both, but please don't take that is that I have an advantage on anyone because I don't. So I was like, I have no wrestling background, no nothing when it comes to that. Just the youngest out of 4 brothers that used to get his butt beat up. And then I just work out a hell of a lot. So it's really awesome. But to wrap that up, because I want to definitely get into this, and then if Roman has any questions, but I'm going to try to go. I'm not going tonight, but I am going to go tomorrow. So I'm going to try going, like, they do classes Monday through Thursday. I think what might be best for me to just to get a feel. And also I'm going to have my first kid soon. So I'm going to they do a free week trial. So I'm going to do this free week trial. And then once the baby's going to be born soon. So I'm gonna probably have to reschedule that or miss like a couple weeks, and then once I figure that thing out, I think Sam and I will have to get together and see which days are feasible. But in reality, I would love to go the 4 days a week, but I think with like working out and whatnot, I think I'm gonna go 2 or 3 days a week out of the 4, just to get a beginner's like take on it. It's kind of like working out. I just want to take it slow. I want to breathe it all in and, just take it from there. So that's all I got right now. I don't want to talk too much about it, but if you have any questions, Roman, or if you want to get into the topic, let me know, buddy.
No, that's awesome. I'm happy that you enjoyed it. That it's like, it seems like it's a new physical venture for you. So I'm all about it, buddy.
Yeah,
stay tuned.
Yeah, it's like, dude, by the time I just realized by the time I hit 30, I've done 2 bodybuilding shows, 1 powerlifting show, a marathon, and then who knows, if I get into this and I get somewhat decent, maybe I could do a tournament. So those 5 by like the age of 30, and then like plus like the Spartan races that I did, or not Spartan, Warrior Dash, which is pretty much like the Spartan race, but Warrior Dash is no longer in business, I guess, if that makes sense, or they cancel them. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how far I'm going to go in this. It's like a trial run, and I'm very curious. And I think the idea of somewhat knowing self-defense is like really good for people, male or female. I don't care which one you are. Like, I think it's such a great thing to learn. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. And also, like Roman said, like the physical endeavor portion of it, because it's not easy and it's going to be very hard mentally and physically. So yeah.
Sweet, buddy. Can't wait to stay tuned. That's awesome.
I know Roman's going to be biking around the world. Then you got me doing this now. But
we're getting after it every day at Gainz Nation, and we're hoping you get after it too.
Yeah. Maybe we could do some spin-offs with them on too as well, like some of the people at that gym, and see what that brings it. Because I know we talk about health and fitness, but like, I mean, we have so many people, and I think in our back pocket where, they could talk about like functional fitness, like our buddy Alex, and then like, our jiu-jitsu friends, and, it's just like, Roman with biking and Roman with doing these runs and the obstacle courses. Like, hopefully that gives you guys enough content. And we're going through it as, anyone would go through it. We're not experts, but, I think it's really interesting to see that both of us are doing things outside the box that we would typically do. Right. So instead of just like always lifting a barbell or dumbbell, I think what's nice about our podcast, if I had to sell someone on it, right, is like, I think doing these things are just going to improve the effects. And like, I think the more fun it is to just do things that are, like fitness wise, like who knows what we're going to do next year. But like, I think it's cool that I'm learning a wrestling / self-defense thing. Roman's biking and doing obstacles and running and trying to work on his squat with no pain. So it's like, I think that's what maybe makes us more different than the other fitness podcasts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I'll endeavor as long as I can, like from a bodybuilding pursuit, but it's like,
yeah,
I am not disillusioned. I don't have world-class, like, genetics,
Yeah, you do. I thought you kind of look like Phil Heath.
Yeah, for 100%, for sure.
You're like 10 pounds away, I think. I'd say 10 pounds.
But that doesn't mean, and that doesn't preclude me from like being better than I was the day before. And you can do that too. And like same thing from like a powerlifting perspective. Like I won't ever be like the world's like most strong like man, but I can become stronger. I can become more resilient. I've had some pretty impressive lifts at like 160. I benched like 225 by 5. Around the same weight. More recently, I squatted 295 by 8 or something along those lines. Like nice, clean, like deep reps. I think trap bar is probably the more impressive thing. I think I pulled like 345 by 3 on trap bar deadlift. So like you can like develop decent strength, even like not having like world like class genetics. From like an endurance perspective, I've run a sub 6-minute mile. Like I'm not going to break like a 4-minute mile. Like that won't happen. Like I don't think that I have it within me, unfortunately, but like I can endeavor to be better. I think my best 5K time is like 18:47 or something like that, which is actually pretty stinking good. Like that can compete with like top 10 in a lot of local 5K races. But like I will like most likely never be that number one, but like I can always be better. So I'm trying to give like multiple examples of how like I might not be like the best or like, you know, within this upper echelon, but I can like improve. And that's kind of the message that we want to give to like that, like you can improve. Like it is really cool. Like that's one of the things that I appreciate about like social media is that you can look and see like what are the best of the best doing, like the Nick Walkers, the Derek Lunsfords, the William Bonacks, you know, in bodybuilding, like powerlifting, you know, what's Hafthor Bjornsson doing, what are like all these like other amazing powerlifters doing, you know, what's like David Goggins doing from like an endurance perspective. We might not be them, like quite literally as a tautological statement, but we can endeavor to like be better.
Yeah, and also to counter that, Roman, not to say you're wrong, right? To counter that, I think it's good for us to do these things too, because not to say that we're okay at a lot of things or good at a lot of things, but what if like lifting, I think Roman and I will never stop lifting. Like, so I think we're really good at lifting. We're obviously not the best, but I think we're really good. But I think doing these things might, you know, tune in or light a fire to try to be the best, right? So it's like, who knows? Maybe 5 years down the road, like maybe I'm still doing jiu-jitsu. Maybe Roman is like trying to get really strong for like obstacle races or maybe a functional fitness event or something along those lines. Or maybe he gets really into biking where during because Roman lives in a place where it snows, during the months where it doesn't snow, he bikes a crap ton. We're talking like 50 to 100 miles a week, maybe. And maybe he does that for like 20 years. And he's like a really good biker. And, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think also, too, you look on the other side of things and like, for some reason, if something clicks, it's like kind of like when you're a kid, when you're trying to find like what sport you're the best, like good at. So then you play that and then like you hear like, hey, I played basketball from the second grade all the way up to like high school, which I did. I played basketball literally probably since I was able to shoot a basketball to like an actual real size rim all the way to high school. So that's like, and I always like, I played a bunch of sports. It's like, think about it as like a kid, you play a bunch of sports, but like you realize you gravitate to the ones that you're good at, right? And it's hard because when you're an adult, you could do that still, but no one really pushes you to do that. And I think it's really good to push yourself and see what you're good at. Now, to combat that real quickly, like jiu-jitsu, for an example, I have no wrestling background and I know I'm going to suck no matter what. I have 3 good friends that have been through it. They told me like, you know, no one's going to ever be really good at it. Like, obviously there's going to be people that are good at it. It's kind of like, you know, it's whatever happens, right? So it's like, I'm going to go through this. And like, for some reason, if I do achieve blue belt, like pretty fastly, then maybe there is something there or there's not, you know, it just depends. Like, I think, you know, there's so many there's so many like bounce backs to it, but it makes sense, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. And that's an excellent point. Is we shouldn't be discouraged by that, by like the statements I made. If that should endeavor you to like, try out different things, continue this this like lifelong pursuit of like physical health, which rolls into like mental health and the spiritual health aspect.
Yeah.
And it may open a door to something that like you didn't know that you were talented at, like such as like OCR, like obstacle course racing, for example, or like maybe you're like extremely talented at like long distance biking, for example, or maybe you are a really talented bodybuilder or powerlifter, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So that's a fantastic point about it. These types of pursuits that we talk about, bodybuilding, powerlifting, endurance like activities, they may open doors to other things that you might try, you might really enjoy, and after like endeavoring those particular like things, activities over time, you may ascend to like an area that you may have never believed that you could have.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, back to the point, like I don't think a lot of adults like push themselves to do stuff like that. And I think we're gonna just roll with this, Roman. I think we're rolling with this topic today. Unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry, Roman and I. Literally, it's just, I guess it's not a bad thing, but we had a planned topic today, but we only have about 8.5 minutes left. So we're just gonna keep rolling with this, guys. But we do have a good topic for you guys again. But we just want to make sure like we give it its full efforts, I guess, if that makes sense. And full content. But yeah, like you were saying, there's no discouragement to it. I think you got to go back to the mentalities when you're a kid, like in the summertime, kickball, basketball, baseball, football, wintertime, indoor basketball, maybe you played football outside, maybe you played video games inside. It's like some of those things that I feel like we forget about. And I think you're like, you had a good point where it's like you could be somewhat good and and obviously you have to be a master at things where you have to do things consistently over and over again. And I think that's a good appropriate like response to what I was saying. It's just like but you just got to try things out. Like obviously Roman and I, we love lifting. We want to push like lifting all the time, but in reality, as we always say, like do what it's going to help you to become healthy. What's going to happen on your yearly like blood test? Like we want you to like we want you to pass with like flying gold colors and stars and everything. We want you to be able to walk up a flight of stairs. We want you to pick up your grandkid. We want you to pick up your kid. We want you to be able to compete with your kid. We want you to be able to still do things when you're 60 years old, 65, So it's like, I think all those things are going to hopefully get to that point where you have no problems with any of those statements I just said. If everything is okay, that is, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's, I definitely, I hear this a lot. I heard it a lot growing up, and like it probably became part of my identity, and I'm kind of glad that it did. But I would say to our listeners, like, don't be afraid to be what like oftentimes is referred to as like a try hard, like in like a dodgeball game or something along those lines. Obviously keep your audience in mind. Like I've been a try hard, and I'll call myself a try hard, and I'm playing against like third and fourth.
Like kind of like that basketball game we played like 2 years ago or last year when Roman didn't have what he had back in the day, but he did 110%. I'm telling you.
Yeah, 100%.
Literally, like to the point where his phone in his pocket because he's trying to get steps for a contest flew out of his pocket because he's just diving after basketballs.
Yeah, I did do that. So yeah, if you're like playing against third and fourth graders, like it's okay to push it a little bit, but sometimes you gotta know when to let kids win too, right? So keep that in mind with all caveats. But like, don't be afraid to be a try hard. Like if it's like even if it's just like a friendly game of basketball or something along those lines, or like 21 or something like that. It's okay to like kind of push your limits and see where you're at. So yeah, definitely keep the audience in mind. But yeah, I always kind of liked doing that, kind of pushing the boundaries and seeing like where like my skill level is at, because myself, like I'm a highly competitive person. Antoine and I, we both work for like a Forbes 500 company, and like you better believe that like some of our goals are like highly like highly competitive, and like our teams can be highly competitive with one another, like always like comparing numbers and that kind of thing, like deals, deal sizes, yada yada, all that stuff. So it's okay to be competitive, and it's like okay to collaborate, all that stuff. It's okay to be a tryhard, and it's okay to push yourself. Oftentimes I think we set like artificial limits. So we might set a ceiling and we say like, I can only do this. And like I'll hear it in myself sometimes. Like I was on a walk earlier, and I was thinking about like some like new goals, and we create myself for myself to keep myself like motivated, have something to shoot for, from like a bodybuilding, powerlifting perspective. And I said like, this is what I've hit before. It was like 185 by 5 on incline. And I was saying like, how can I top that? As opposed to thinking about, it's like, okay, I've hit 185 by 5. Can I do 185 by 8? Yes. All right, let's build out a program and, like stick to that program and work it till it's like completion. So that's like something that like I'm working on. But what I'm trying to share with you is that like oftentimes, even though I'm aware that we shouldn't set these limitations, like I might do it and I'll catch myself doing it and saying those things. So it's important to like develop that self-awareness as well, and understand when you're setting limitations on yourself, and kind of push those voices away, and then say like, hey, if this is something that like I want, create a plan to go after it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like you were saying, like, and then sometimes there's sub goals, like I haven't really mentioned it, but like I started doing yoga again a lot, and I just because of like jujitsu and like working out like pretty hard, like I just want to be more flexible. I want to be more like mobile, and I don't want to feel limited because I built muscle around scar tissue, stuff like that. So, like how Roman was saying, there's that main goal. Like sometimes, there's that sub goal where it's like something like that, where it's like, I don't really mention it, but like I just still put something on YouTube and just do yoga for like 20, 30 minutes. So
that's awesome, buddy. Do you still watch the video? It's like Adrian with Benji.
Yoga with Adrian, yeah, and then Benji's in there. Yep,
I love it.
I was doing that today, buddy. Benji's awesome. She actually just came out, and man, I'm gonna reach out to her, see if we can get her on the podcast. She is probably pretty popular, but yeah, she just came out with like a 40-day program where it's like different topics of every yoga session. And I'm not doing it 40 days in a row. Like, no, I'm not like, I probably could, because it's like low stress on the body, I feel like, but I'm just going to do it like 2-3 days out of the week and then just do all 40 days. But I think it's pretty cool to see like where I could start and finish, and just keep up with it. Like that's something like where Roman said there's like an exact plan. I don't have an exact plan. I just want to just do it to do it, and just like be decent at it, right? So it's like, because of lifting all the time and whatnot, and like moving in these movements that I'm going to be doing, I just want to be mobile, right? And to be able to do these things and just feel good. And it actually meditates me too. I've tried like self meditation, but I find myself relaxing more when I do yoga, when like I'm just trying to pay attention to my breathing, and like I think that's what it helps me to like relax at the end of the day or in the middle of the day when you need like that 20-minute break or 30-minute break. So I think that helps me more with my mental state when it comes to like just like mood and happiness and like energy. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love to mention a challenge too, because me and my buddy Joe, or my buddy Joe and I, we're in the middle of like a 30-day, or I guess it'd be a 28-day fitness challenge for the month of February. Stay tuned on the results, Gainz Nation. I'm gonna wait to the end of February.
Are you eating vegan too?
I am not.
Oh, you should have. I thought that was gonna be the challenge. Like you ate vegan for 30 days and Joe ate meat for 30 days and
No.
see what the results were.
Although I do want to do something like that. I don't know if I'll do vegan, but I'll let you all know about those kind of things. So I'll post about that.
Post about the contest, and then tag Joe in. Joe's been on the podcast, guys. If you don't remember him, he was probably episode before 100, maybe something before 100.
Definitely.
I mean, we got like almost 150 out now. So this will be our 4th year of the podcast, people. If you guys haven't been tuning in November, right, or October?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, 4th year coming soon. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
But, yeah.
Man, so much content for the Gainz Nation.
Yes, and then make sure you guys watch us on YouTube. We've been posting a lot of shorts. Because I'm a really big YouTube fan. Honestly, I like posting the YouTube more than like Instagram, and I'm glad that YouTube came out with the shorts because I'm spending my time on YouTube anyways. But Roman's been posting a lot on YouTube. Make sure to follow him. Follow my channel that posts the Gainz podcast, and then like my lifting shorts that I pretty much post on Instagram. And then make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Please share the podcast if you can to help us support us. And then we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.